Ms. Pressley.
Mr. Chairman, I have an amendment at the desk.
Have the clerk will distribute the amendment to all members. We will pause so that members have a chance to read the amendment.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you.
Amendment to the amendment in the nature of a substitute to H.R. 8706, as offered by Ms. Pressley of Massachusetts.
Reserve for a point of order.
The gentleman from Arizona reserves a point of order. Without objection, the amendment is considered as read. Ms. Pressley from Massachusetts is recognized for 5 minutes.
My amendment is straightforward, Mr. Chair. The text of it reads, quote, on page 30, line 22, application to HBCUs. Nothing in this section shall be construed to prevent the maintenance and funding of historically black colleges and universities, end quote. This amendment would exempt HBCUs from the federal ban that this bill places on funding for institutions that acknowledge racial oppression. As everyone on this committee can read, this bill prohibits funding for DEI practices, and it defines prohibited DEI practices very broadly, including banning the acknowledgement of racial oppression. Thus, for Title IV of this bill, it bans any organization that recognizes racial oppression from receiving grant funding. This has a direct impact on our nation's HBCUs. HBCUs were founded to provide higher education opportunities to Black Americans who were denied access due to slavery and segregation and systemic racism. These institutions are pillars of resilience, history, and excellence. Many of our congressional aides, and in fact our congressional colleagues, are graduates from HBCUs. HBCUs enroll and graduate a diverse student population, including first-generation college students and those from low-income families. While they make up only 3% of colleges and universities, they produce nearly 20% of all Black graduates. And they accomplish this feat despite chronic underfunding. This Republican bill, the Dismantle DEI Act, would result in HBCUs being banned from receiving federal grant funding. HBCU professors, researchers, and students would be cut off if this bill passes as it is currently written. That is why my amendment is necessary to protect HBCUs. I'd also like to add that some of the oldest HBCUs are in Cheney and Lincoln in Pennsylvania, Wilberforce in Ohio, and UDC right here in the District of Columbia. Each of them was first created before the Civil War and the Emancipation Proclamation. Further, several of my colleagues on both sides of the aisle have HBCUs in their home states, including Chairman Comer and many of those serving on this committee. There are HBCUs in Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, Louisiana, Missouri, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Texas. All stand to be harmed by this legislation. But it's not just the schools who will suffer. It's the professors who teach at them, the students who enroll, the community members who live near them, and the entire country that benefits from HBCU success. Finally, when it comes to our bottom line, HBCUs generate $16.5 billion in direct national impact across the country. If they were a company, they would be placed in the top 50 of Fortune 500 companies when it comes to job creation. And that is why this amendment is necessary to protect our HBCUs, and I urge my colleagues to support them through this amendment.
Gentlelady yields back.
Yield.
I'll recognize myself. What? Chair recognizes Mr. Cloud to speak on the amendment.
I have no opposition to this, and as a former member of the Ag Committee, have supported funding for this, and so I do not see an issue with this amendment.
All right. Any other members seek recognition?
Support it.
You asked,
Yes, I'd like to request yeas and nays, and thank you.
any other members seek recognition? Seeing none. The question is now on the amendment offered by Ms. Pressley. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the amendment is agreed to.
I request the yeas and appointed voter.
A recorded vote is ordered by Ms. Pressley. As previously announced, further proceedings on the question will be postponed. For what purpose does the gentlelady from